Today we're going to be looking at proportion, where everything lines up on the face and how big everything should be. Before we get started, let's talk about materials. You're going to need a ruler, a pencil, an eraser, your original sketch, the one you did for week 1, and you're going to need a new piece of paper. If you don't have those items, pause the video and go get them now. Before we get started today, let's take a quick moment to talk about one of our values as a school, and that is independence. I'm sure you're finding it quite difficult after the first week of online classes, and I'm sure you've had to ask a lot of questions and you've had to ask for help from your parents and maybe your siblings or anyone else who has been taking care of you. And that's okay. But I really want to challenge you to try doing things on your own before you go and ask for help. Sometimes, if we get a little bit confused, we just have to go back, reread the instructions, rewatch a video, and maybe just try things from there. If that doesn't help, then go ask your parents or someone else for help. But I challenge you to use this as a time to really develop your independence. Okay, we're going to start by looking at facial proportions. Some of the basic facial proportions that the eyes are halfway across, down the length of the head. Now that does not mean the length of the face. Your head includes this part of your hair up here. The nose usually rests about halfway between this space here. If I broke the space between my eyes and my chin down in about half, that should be the bottom of my nose. And we can also look at the mouth. If we break the space up from the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin, the middle of your mouth, the opening usually comes about 1/3 of the way. Let's also take a look at the ears. The ears are really interesting. If you draw a straight line from the top of your ear to the top of your eye, it should usually match right about where your eyebrow is. The bottom of the ear matches about where your nose is. Okay, one thing I want to show you are how our proportions change as we age. This is an example of a child who is maybe in 1st or 2nd grade. You can see this is the halfway line, the same line we drew here. And you can see they're way below this line. The eyebrow line actually touches this halfway mark. As we age, things change a little bit. This is a child who is maybe in about 4th or 5th grade. You can see that the eyes are closer. The top of the eye touches that halfway line. And as we grow into adulthood, as we grow and mature and change, our eyes move to rest on top of that halfway line that we drew. It's important that you take a look at your own face. It will look different at different ages. I can check these proportions on my own face. I'm going to line my ruler up with the top of my head, which is not up here. It's actually down here because my hair sort of lifts above that, but I can see the back of my skull right about here. So I'm going to line that up with the bottom of my chin, and I can see it's roughly 15 centimeters. Half of 15 is 7.5, And if I use that mark, I draw a line straight through. My eyes are almost right in the middle of my head. Let's now take this space from the bottom of my eyes to the bottom of my chin and measure that space. All right, it is right at 7.5. I can again use division, or I can just kind of eyeball it, but half of 7.5 would be 3.75, right about here. This is important to note, but at least in this photo, it's not lining up exactly with what I studied here. And that also means the space for my lips will probably also be a little bit different. 1/3 would be about here, but mine are closer up here. It's a little different. Again, what we learned here with the different proportions is just is sort of the average. We're all a little bit different. So pay attention to your face. If it helps you, you can print out a picture of yourself and you can make these measurements on your own photo. But if you don't have that option, if you don't have a camera or you don't have a printer, you can also look in the mirror and again use your fingers to figure out. You can compare the different spaces. Maybe your eyes aren't in the middle of your face. Maybe your nose isn't exactly halfway between your eyes and your chin. For your assignment this week, I want you to look at the proportions of your face, and I want you to just draw the guidelines. Don't worry about the details today. Next week, we're going to start looking at how to add the details of the eyes, the nose, the mouth. Right now, we're just focused on proportions. So if I am drawing the proportions for my face, I'm going to first start with an outline of the shape. You can always go back and clean this up later. I know that my eyes are halfway between my face. So if I look at 13, I'm going to go halfway is here. My nose is above halfway. It's quite above that. So on my assignment, I'm finding the halfway point. I'm looking at this line, 6.5. Right? The halfway point would be about 3.25. My nose is actually ends a bit above that, so I'm going to mark that, and I'm going to erase this original. And then my mouth it's a little less than the length from my nose to my eyes, so I'm just going to bring my fingers down. And I'm going to mark roughly about here. That's about where the end, or where the middle of my mouth is. I'm going to go through now and draw the guidelines. Drawing them lightly because I'm going to erase them later. The middle line lightly. I'm drawing straight line for my eyes. Straight line for my nose, and a straight line here for my mouth. This is all you need to do for this week. Just to repeat, you are looking at your own face. You can print a picture, or you can just look at the mirror and use your fingers to kind of measure to the best of your ability. And then you're drawing your face shape and you're marking your own proportion lines. Then in Microsoft Teams, you need to type a response in the notebook that tells me what was different from your original drawing. Tell me what you notice proportion-wise that was wrong on your original self-portrait. For this week, you don't have to start on any details. Let's save that for the next few weeks when we look at how to see shapes and value. Your only assignment is the template and the written comparison from your original sketch to your measured template. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or contact me on Microsoft Teams.